We have a great session now for you. We're going to look at something that's very exciting and very new, artificial intelligence, and it's offering tremendous opportunities for the travel industry. And today we have Google Australia's New Zealand CEO, Jason Pellegrino, here to explain more to you. Now, Jason is a member of Google's Asia Pacific leadership team, responsible for the company's commercial capabilities and also its business strategy across all Asia Pacific markets. And as you're probably aware, Google is the world's most popular search engine and a key partner for online marketing and consumer data. So ladies and gentlemen, please make welcome our next speaker, Jason Pellegrino. Thanks, Jason.
Hello. Thank you for joining. What a wonderful event today. And it's great to have you all here. I'm going to take a little bit of license in the next 20, 30 minutes or so and go off reservation. I'm going to come back and talk about travel and tourism in the industry, but I think it's worthwhile just stepping back a bit and exploring a couple of the mega trends that we're seeing in the world that are really driving the way that consumers are engaging with devices, with brands, with companies, with destinations. And there are really two big trends that are driving this, and it's worthwhile just understanding that. I will then go through, from a Google perspective, how we're actually applying those big trends and how we're harnessing them within the travel and tourism sector in terms of the products and services that we offer. And I'll close off at the end with some thoughts of how organisations within the sector can then also start thinking about using AI and particularly these two big trends. So we came out in 2009. One of the things that I'm incredibly proud of, I've been at Google for over 8 years, is that we make big bets as an organisation and we stick to them. We don't always get them right. I can give you a whole litany of examples where we didn't get them right. I'm not going to use that time now. I'm going to talk about the ones we did get right because it's a better conversation. In 2009, we came out and said, the world's going mobile, and we would be a mobile-first company. This was probably 12 months after the real take-up of devices like the iPhone. It was about 6 to 9 months after the launch and scaling of Android. This is when we had about 2% to 3% of our searches on mobile devices. And we said, we're going mobile first. Every single product that we will develop from that time forward would be mobile first. And we stuck to that. We changed our structures, we changed our engineers, we trained up engineers on mobile, and we shifted. We're now in a world where over 50% of the engagements we have with our users, whether it's on search or on YouTube, are via mobile device. And in some markets, particularly in Asia, well north of 50%. It's time to make another bet because there are two things that are fundamentally changing. We call them super trends. And we came out this year and said, actually, we're no longer mobile first. We're going to be AI first. That's artificial intelligence. And the reason we're doing that is because we are seeing a confluence of two things. Firstly, device proliferation. You know, everyone here has a smartphone. Some people are recording this, some people are texting their friends. There's a bunch of people who are probably on Facebook or YouTube right now who are not interested in this, but it's happening. You know, it is, absolutely. And you're starting to see these things sneak into your cars. You know, a couple of years ago, you saw them on your fridge, but it was useless. So you're getting these devices that are starting to proliferate. Pretty quickly, those things in your car, that screen on your fridge, and I'm going to talk about screenless devices, devices without screens, are going to actually engage you every moment of every day across every outcome. The reason that that's possible is the second big trend, machine learning, artificial intelligence. And these two trends are feeding off each other. The reason that the screen on your fridge 3-4 years ago was completely useless is it wasn't personal. It knew nothing about you. It knew nothing about what was in the fridge. It knew nothing about the household in that fridge. And so that knowing and personalisation is only possible through machine learning. And I'll talk about that in a second. But think about it like this. If you've got a virtual circle where, through machine learning, I can know personally about you, about your family, about your habits, about your likes, and then feed that into a device that then can actually be useful to you, just like your smartphone is, which then learns more about what's going on and actually can deliver you personalised services. And you'll hear a lot about personalisation going through. And this is fully within a realm where you have choice as to what you share, what you get benefit out of. And you've seen this virtual circle. So, AI first led world. I'm going to step back just to give you an idea. What is artificial intelligence? Because you'll see words throwing around: artificial intelligence, machine learning. For some that have read a bit further, neural networks or deep learning, all these sort of concepts. It really is, artificial intelligence is this whole big sphere of actually just making smart machines that can actually do things and replicate some form of sort of human behaviour. It can do it repetitively, do it well. In the larger sphere, this could include things that we're already seeing, we've seen for a long time, manufacturing robots. A large part of auto manufacturing, for example, is completely automated. And that is in the sphere of artificial intelligence. But as you break down, what we're starting to see emerge is machine learning. What machine learning is the capability for these computers to actually learn from their mistakes and do things better the next time and better the next time. And what that gives you is incredible power to deliver personal services and optimization. Why now? Why is this happening all of a sudden? Actually, artificial intelligence, particularly machine learning, has been around since the 1950s. Ever since the computer chip was actually first established and driven through, we've known that machine learning was possible. There are 3 factors, though, that you need to actually do this well. You need massive computing power. You need huge anonymised data sets for the computing power to learn from. And you need constant and instant connectivity. So has anyone used voice search? So it's a great product. That was ready, and we could deliver that 3 or 4 years ago. The reality is we didn't have the speed of connectivity to deliver it in a format that was actually instantly usable. If you speak into your phone and ask it a query, it's one thing to get the answer back immediately. It's another thing to wait 30 seconds or 60 seconds to get the answer back. So you need these 3 things. And they're all happening rapidly. And over the course of the last 18 months, this has all come together. So the data, the anonymised data sets that are out, this is not data about you as an individual, it's not anything that's shared, but you're getting sensory data from sensors that are in cars, or in traffic lights, or in the data sets that governments are starting to open up and make useful. And that has sort of emerged. Computing power, the scale of processing power that's available has rapidly expanded, and the cost of that processing power has dropped dramatically. And so within these 3 things, all of a sudden, in the last 18 months, you have almost like a petri dish, the right conditions for machine learning to actually start exploding. And the growth going forward will be exponential. This is how serious we are about it at Google. This is just a graph about the number of directories. This is our internal software, our code base, of how many of those are actually exposed to machine learning or neural net. We call them neural net models. So we've gone from a situation, literally in 2014, 2015, a very, very small proportion, to an explosion over the course of the last 18 months, where fairly much every single product that comes out, and we've been publicly stating this, every product that we put out now will be machine learning led. It will be driven by the ability to actually personalise everything that's out there. We've been doing this in search for many, many years. Your search results will be very different from your search results and different from your search results, because actually that personalisation makes the product better. But this will go across all our products. And we're betting big. So in the last 12 months, we've trained over 12,500 engineers globally on machine learning. We've had 350 product launches in the last 12 months that have been driven by machine learning. Conference papers, white papers, open APIs. We don't protect any of this IP. This IP is available and open. The product, I won't get too technical, but we're opening up the APIs for all of the machine learning capabilities that we have. For example, a product like TensorFlow. TensorFlow is the single biggest repository of AI and machine learning globally. It's where universities, academics, and even really small organisations are actually getting their hands on these tools and getting access to the power of machine learning capabilities that we use on our own tools. And that might sound kind of weird, it might sound very techie, and you're sitting there and saying, well, that's not for me because I operate in a small organisation. I've got a great example, I haven't got a photo here, of a Japanese cucumber farmer who has used TensorFlow and a small little webcam to actually automate on his small individual farm sorting the different types of cucumbers that he actually produces. And he's been able to actually increase the efficiency of that sorting enormously. This is not a large organisation. This is not, an industrial. This is not Siemens and IBM or even a Google doing this. This is a single individual Japanese cucumber farmer. These power of these tools are available everywhere. We use it. I'm going to give you an industrial application for this that we do, and then I'm going to talk about how we use it on consumers and how we use it particularly in our travel products. This graph is, anyone who's in operations, this is an absolute dream graph to have. So this graph represents the cost of what it takes to operate our data centres. Data centres now consume about 2 to 3% of the world's energy requirements. These are expensive, costly, energy-consuming devices. So it doesn't come cheap. Google, we are the single largest private purchaser of renewable energy in the world by a factor of 2. In fact, this year, and we're talking in the next couple of weeks, we'll get to a position where 100% of our data centre usage, energy usage, is via renewable power. We're really proud of that. We've built our data centres from day one from scratch. It's, we think, an absolute competitive advantage. We build our own stacks, we build our own racks, we build our own networking and infrastructure. And the reality is those data centres are operated about 50% better energy efficiency than the average data centre networks that are out there. And we have some of the smartest brains around working on this, and they've been working on it for 15 years. And imagine your situation where you're an absolute expert and you've been working on this for 15 years, and someone comes along with a machine learning program and essentially just turns it on, and it starts learning how to actually optimise energy within a data centre. And you see this. You turn the machine learning control on, and your energy consumption costs drop 15%. You turn machine learning off, the energy consumption costs rise 15%. The scale of that is incredible if you think about how much cost is in there, and you can drop your energy cost by 15%. Somewhat disheartening if that's been your job for 15 years, I must admit, but this is incredible. It just shows you the power of it. This is not about fancy internet consumer products. This is actually industrial applications. This is about energy savings. This is about efficiency, optimization, automation, all these sort of elements that are there, and the power of what this could deliver to society. This is not only cost savings, but it's energy consumption savings. And in the current world, particularly in Australia around this debate, things like this are incredibly encouraging. But it's not just on the industrial side. And let me just take you forward to, let's think about consumers. Because it's everyone in this room, it's every tourist that enters this country are using all of these devices that I spoke to you about. And this is where machine learning is actually driving a better outcome. They are turning to the services that are using machine learning to deliver them personal information, a personalised service. Consumers are moving away from services and products that are delivering them just bland, generalised information and services, and we know that. And this goes through our product. This is where we are absolutely focused from a Google perspective, to use all that power of machine learning to actually provide a service to every single individual in this room that's optimised for who you are, what interests you, and gives you the best answers to the extent that you're willing to share information. And this goes across the travel cycle. So from a Google perspective, we are looking at the whole phase and the whole realm of the booking cycle through the tourism sector. You know, it used to be, and this is a pretty standard chart. This is, your typical 101 where you're either sort of getting education in the tourism sector or operating. Your standard funnel. You dream, then you plan, then you book, and then you experience. You have to do this before machine learning came along. And underlying in this is a massive assumption that I take one step, then move into the next step, and then move into the next step, and then actually experience it. And then I go home, and guess what? I start dreaming again, and then I plan, and then I book. We all know that that's absolute rubbish. It doesn't happen that way. People bounce around. But from a marketing perspective, you have to operate within these funnels because you are forced to make generalizations because I don't know enough about you as an individual. Well, guess what? That's all changed. That is absolutely all changed. In this world, this is old-style marketing. This is about focusing on reach and conversion. How do I reach my customers? How do I convert them? It's now moving to two concepts that I really want you to take home. It's moving from reach and conversion to attention and assistance. So reaching people is not hard anymore. Capturing their attention is. Converting people is one way, but assisting them is where you will really sort of gather and sort of get to the heart of what they want to do. The interesting thing is that is how we all operate in this room when we step away from marketing. When we have got a customer, when we've got a tourist who actually comes through, we know that engagement and assistance is what actually gets them through to a product or a service. We know that it's what makes them enjoy that product or service. We can assist them, we can help them have a better time. And yet when we put our marketing hat on, we go back to reach and conversion. So what I'm going to talk through now is why does this matter? It matters because in a machine learning world where people have proliferation of devices, they're leaving cookie crumbs of evidence across the web, whether that's on their smartphone or on their website. And these cookie crumbs of evidence are what we call micro moments. These are these micro moments that happen when I, as a consumer, are actually putting a signal out there that says, I'm actually in the dream phase, or I'm ready to book, or I'm actually out there experiencing things and loving this. We've never had the opportunity to actually address and identify those little cookie crumbs and then move to an instance where I want to assist you in one of those micro moments that matter. I'll give you a data point that makes this all make sense. We're about 8 million inbound tourists into Australia in 2016. We get hundreds of millions of searches for those inbound tourists coming into Australia, searching about information about Australia. So you've got hundreds of millions of people who are interested, converting into 8 million people who actually come. That is an enormous array of cookie crumbs that are out there. These are people who are putting their hands up and say, I want information. Please help me. Please assist me. Please engage me. Capture my attention. And so that is what's incredibly important. And if there's one thing that I would want you to take away from today is how do I actually focus my business, my marketing, on actually addressing all of those cookie crumbs? How do I actually, when there's a person out there virtually putting their hand up and saying, please help me, how do I help them? Rather than in an old world of putting messages out there and hopefully they'll stick at someone who's ready. And that's the move. So let's go through that. The way that we're looking at it from a Google perspective is through products and services that are actually personalised. So Destinations on Google is an update to our mobile search product. When people are searching for specific destinations, we have a lot of information about them, where they are, what they like, increasingly other data points that they're open to sharing with us. If they're open to sharing with those data points with us and they have full control over that, we can deliver them an incredibly personalised service. And this is what Destinations on Google is about. What this gives you is an incredibly visual, incredibly personalised, incredibly optimised set of answers, search answers to a request of, I want to know about a specific destination. If you're a family as opposed to someone who's single, it will give you different information in your search results about that same destination. If you're a tourist from China versus someone from the UK, it will give you different information. The only way that we're able to do that is through machine learning, which is learning about what is it that differentiates a family from an individual traveller. What is it that differentiates a tourist from China versus a tourist from the UK in terms of what they're interested in? We have a whole history of search results and we know what people are interested in. What we've done is actually back that back into the product itself to say this is a better result, this is a better outcome. And so when people are searching on this product, they will get a result and information about a destination that is optimised for who they are, where they are, and why they want to travel. Going into the sort of the planning phase, products like flight search and hotel search, this is on the face of things is nothing new. In that there's a lot of search aggregators, there's a lot of opportunities, a lot of you run websites that actually are out there. But what about if we're able to partner, take all of the information and the options that you actually have, and bring it to the forefront of a consumer's smartphone lens and add other bits of information, where they're from, why they're travelling, when they want to travel. And you can see in here, we can start getting in some really smart things that actually work. It's quite small, but what you'll find in here, one of the features that we found that consumers really, really like is incredibly accurate predictive mechanisms around prices. We can get to a point where we're sort of north of 80% accurate that we can give consumers a signal that, hey, the price of this flight, the price of the hotel room is likely to go up in the next 7 days. And that is incredibly useful information if I'm a traveller, if I'm someone in the booking phase of understanding what happens. How are you able to do that? Again, I keep going back and you're going to get sick of me for saying this, but it's machine learning that's able to actually capture all of this information and learn and understand and get better at that predictive mechanism. But you are putting it out there for the benefits of the consumers in terms of actually trying to give them a better outcome, a more personalised service. Trips app. Again, I hope you're seeing a trend here. Everything about this is smartphone driven. There's nothing on the websites. These products will get ported to a website, but they start on the smartphone. A Trips app is an automated app that gathers together all of the information that you have about a specific trip. So this is actually, as you start moving into the planning and the experiential aspect. It's automated. It pulls together your search history. It pulls together bookings that you've made. It pulls together information on Gmail, should you wish to share all of that, into a single app that actually captures what my journey is going to be. It then, knowing who you are, what you like, the type of group that you're with, provides suggestions on itineraries, things to see, restaurants to visit. Again, all of this information that's personalised for that person. And again, using machine learning to actually optimise that. And then the final one, which I think, this is my personal favourite, and if anyone's used this, it's incredible. We have about 500 million users using Google Translate. We have about 1 billion translations every day. It's an active product that's wonderful. However, this year, it's gone to the next level. And you can see it in this visual picture where we're able to use image recognition APIs through machine learning to actually live translate signage, live translate menus, and using sort of augmented reality to actually just replace and translate the actual signs. So it's not you sitting there with a translation dictionary trying to figure it out. It's you experiencing the world in your language. This is also happening on voice. So 20% of the searches we have in the US on mobile devices are now via voice. 2 years ago, that number was sub 2%. Voice is now able to also provide direct audio translations. And so you can actually have translatable conversations with people, at a hotel or at a tourism that's actually live. And you're starting to get to the world of Babelfish, if anyone is old enough to sort of remember that. I am, definitely. But that's what the power of this is happening. And this is where you're starting to get machine learning and instant connectivity and constant connectivity coming together. So these are absolutely features that go through. And so I would summarise that as saying, from a Google perspective, these are examples of where we are absolutely all in on AI first, where we are building AI into every single product development that we're doing. In the tourism sector, you're seeing it come through in destination search, you're seeing it in flight search, you're seeing it in Google Trips, you're seeing it in Translate. Every single version of that. In photos, has anyone used Google Photos? I think it's one of the best apps that's out there. I personally think we should be talking a lot more about it. If we had a smaller room, I would do a demo for you, but the ability to actually understand who you are rather than just being, this is not just a filing cabinet for your photos. This is a photo aggregating app that actually knows who you are, and you do not have to do any work in actually organising your photos. Now, I can put in the name of my son and search for every single digital image of my son going back to, he's now 10 years old. It'll pick up photos from his birth. He's a day or two old. But the quality of the image recognition. If I want to find a photo of that time where I was wearing a blue t-shirt while I was skiing, I don't have to sit there trying to figure out, you know what, I type in blue t-shirt skiing. Bang, photo comes up. I want to find a photo of friends, locations, images. Show me every single photo where I've been at a beach. Bang, instantaneously. The quality of that is enormous, but it starts to learn about who you are and what you want to do, should you wish to share that. So this is where the value exchange comes through. We can provide an enormous sort of proportion and an enormous service utility to consumers if they're willing to sort of store their photos on Google. And so that's where machine learning, again, is coming through. But what does it mean for everyone within this room? I'm not going to go and tell you, and it would be ridiculous for me to sit here and say, hey, you also all have to go out and learn how to code. You know, it's just not going to happen. I have absolutely no idea how to code anything of this magnitude. I struggle with, basic instructions to my kids. So, I'm not going to tell you that. But what you need to do and what you need to take away from this is the world is changing. The world is changing at such a rapid rate that what we used to do in the past is not only no longer what we'll do in the future, but it's actually no longer what we need to do now. We need to move from a world where we are focused on reaching an audience and converting them into how you as an organisation, through products and services, how you as an organisation, through your marketing, can engage and capture the attention of your potential customers, potential tourists, and then assist them through the process. How does your marketing, how does your messaging, how does your products and services really pivot to that assistance? And you've got to start a great standing start versus many other industries, because the tourism industry is fundamentally built on assistance, on helping people, on experiences. You're not selling a widget. You are selling an experience. And so there's a standing start there. And so how do you actually just start exploiting that? How do you start moving that through? You can access many of these tools that we've shown. You can start getting people within your organisation aware of how to start using technology to personalise the messaging, the products and the services that you actually deliver. How do you get to a situation where that customer who's actually purchased something that comes into an experience, you're able to know who they are, what they want, rather than actually that person coming to experience that almost having to learn again from scratch. You don't know nothing about them. How do you actually pull that through? And that can happen throughout your organisation. So yes, a lot of what I've said is around marketing, media, but it also happens within the actual experience itself. Every single tourist that comes into this country will come with a smartphone device. Very, very quickly, they will come with a smartphone device, probably some sort of fitness app. They will be connecting and engaging. And in some instances, the volume of those connections and the rapidity of those connections is incredible. Particularly the 1.2 million Chinese tourists that we actually have out of that 8.3. And I'm not telling you anything new. The level of usage of products like WeChat is incredible. Take the time to actually go into WeChat and realise why the level of usage is high. The level of usage is high because WeChat does all of the things that I've just shown you. It deeply, deeply personalizes the service. It delivers a service to a user that is what I want, when I want, how I want it. And so the thing that I would take away from today absolutely is don't be scared by the fact that the world is changing. I often tell people it's kind of like driving a car. You can sit there and debate about wanting the car to stop. That's not going to happen. The car's on the road and the car is accelerating. Your choice is whether you're in the passenger seat or the driver's seat. And that's the decision and that's the discussion that you need to really deeply focus on. So empower your staff, empower your organisations, empower yourself with knowledge about this and think through what it actually means for your individual business and your individual service and product. And you'll get to a stage where it becomes immediately obvious how you move from a world of reach and conversion to a world of engagement and assistance. So thank you very, very much.
Thanks, Jason. I'm pretty sure, unfortunately, we're out of time for questions,
Perfect.
but perhaps just one really quick one that I'm sure people might want to know. You were talking about the millions of searches that you get on Google from people every year. And after what you've just said, do people still have to worry about optimising where they sit in search rankings on Google? Should they still be worried about that? Is there a way that they can optimise that?
I think it's important to take a step back, and absolutely search is incredibly important. There's, as I said, hundreds of millions of searches every year for this product. But step back and think, are you visible, full stop, to the range of service or the range of engagement that a consumer or a potential consumer wants to? Are you visible and are you attracting those millions, billions of cookie crumbs that are out there? And are you focused on that? So making sure that your product or service is visible on, even maps, Google My Business, and then yes, search. But that's the pathway to make sure that you're a part of the game, that you're in the game rather than sitting on the sidelines waiting for this all to happen.
Okay, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Jason Pellegrino from Google.